And welcome back to the PD Football Podcast. My name is Presh.
My name is Darren.
And how are you doing today?
I'm okay. Just regularly fatigued from work. How's everything on your end?
Well, I've been speaking about the Dune audiobook. I finished that. Like I said, it was again, I'm going to repeat what I said last week. There's a lot of fluff. And I'm glad the director cut it out. Yeah. Unnecessary stuff. I'm glad the director cut it out for the movie. Now I've moved on to perhaps the greatest novel ever written. It's called Moby Dick or The Whale by Herman Melville. You know, the prose is wonderful. And again, I'm listening to audiobooks. I'm not actually reading. But it's wonderful to listen to.
I mean, it is probably one of the most influential books ever written.
Yeah, it's just a pleasure to listen to. That's all I'm going to say, because I'm 5 hours into a 24-hour audiobook, so still quite a lot to go.
You have, 2/3 of a day to go.
Can we get straight into it, or do you have other things you want to say?
No, we can get straight into it. I don't really have anything on my mind.
All right, so Atletico Madrid 4, Club Brugge 1, Atletico through 7-4 on aggregate.
I mean, they made it more difficult than they had to in the end, but probably what everyone expected. I mean, obviously, another good big game performance from Solot, so it's looking like a good signing. I mean, I think their strike partnership, Alvarez is a bit out of form recently, but I think he's the type of player that will come back into form in the big games. So
I will say, okay, before we haven't even chatted about lineups and whatever, but I did think Alvarez had a poor game. He just didn't look on it. I would say that.
Yeah, I mean, he's had these moments, though. I think he is one of those players that can fade away a bit, but the nice thing about him is that he generally comes good in the big moments. So if they're there in the latter stages of the competition still, I probably expect him to come back to life.
Alright, so into the match, and the graphic before the match said Atletico in a 4-4-2. But in the match it was more of a 4-2-3-1 with Alvarez in the 10. So I don't watch Atletico week to week, so I don't know what their best 11 is. But their bench was stacked with players I would assume are starters. For example, Griezmann, Jimenez, Lookman, Lenormand. So I was a bit confused. This is a must-win game, or was a must-win game for Atletico, so I wondered why they went so weak.
I think he's been rotating a lot recently, so I think maybe those players, like, based on that we know them as the most established players in those squad, we'd assume they should be starting, but I think Lenormand has been injured a bit this season, has just got back, been a bit out of form. I think Griezmann hasn't been in the best form either, so I do think that, it could have just been Simeone tweaking organically. I think it could just be him working with what he has based on the current form of the players,
I see. Brugge played in a 4-1-4-1. And I haven't watched them this season, so I don't know if this is the usual formation or if this was a tactical tweak to, combat Atletico. But in the first 10 minutes, Brugge pressed aggressively, and Atletico could not break out of it. They were simply stuck in their own half. But Brugge couldn't make their quick start count. Although I was particularly impressed by Forbes on Brugge's right-hand side. He was getting in some good deliveries.
Yeah, I mean, I think Atletico made a lot of sloppy mistakes in possession as well. First half, I think, gave the ball away quite a bit. So, I mean, I guess a better team, you would assume, probably could have put the game to bed if they had pressed them in the way Brugge did. But, I mean, you can only beat what's in front of you, as they say. So it's all about getting to the later stages. Atletico did enough. I think they needed an individual display, so it's hard to say. It's hard to gauge much from that game in terms of I think given the result from the first leg, there could have been a bit of an expectation of Brugge that they might be able to spring an upset, but I think everyone knew that as long as Atletico's defensive dynamics are okay, which they eventually got right, probably around the 30-minute mark, and I think from then on they were able to control the game, get their foot on the ball. And
yeah, well, to me it was the first 15 minutes. That's when Brugge were in the ascendancy, and Atletico soon settled and they got some possession, and even in some portions they played some classy one-touch football. This is actually a thing my friend told me a while ago. He said that our impression of Atletico Madrid is that they sit deep and hit you on the counter because we only watch them in the big matches. But in La Liga, they don't have that luxury. They have to come out and play against the smaller teams. So he told me that Atletico are actually underrated because we don't get to see their creative bag. You know what I'm saying?
I agree. I mean, I've always liked Simeone. I think, well, again, Simeone and Arteta are very similar to me. I think they both focus on controlling games, just in a different way to what people expect. I think the idea is still to use the players you have to control the dynamics of the game so that your team benefits more than the opposition. So, I mean, you know, it's hard to criticize. Like, it depends where you sit on Atletico. It seems like Simeone's worked miracles on a shoestring budget at times, and then he seems to have let himself down when he's got a big budget. So it's a hard one to gauge, you know. But I think, like, I was impressed with Koke yesterday. I think he wound back the years a bit. It was like a bit of the Koke of old, the one who refused to go anywhere and stay at Atletico Madrid, you know. I was impressed by him. So I think, in a way, I think Simeone is a good manager, probably one of the best in the game. I think he knows how to get the most out of a player, help them get close to their ceiling. Maybe he doesn't always...
Especially defensive players.
I would say attackers as well. Like, if you look at someone like Griezmann, I think he's only really flourished in the Simeone system. I think maybe he struggles with other players because he can't adapt the system to suit a specific player. But again, I think he's a manager like Arteta who brings the floor and the ceiling very close together. Now, maybe if you used to watching Jurgen Klopp or Pep Guardiola where the ceiling is very high and there's a kind of a larger gap, I think it's a different idea of control, you know. I think...
I don't know. I think Simeone and Klopp are in the same sort of bracket. But that's just my opinion.
I would say they're in the same bracket as in terms of the style of their approach to like man management. I'd say that man management is... I
mean, like, in terms of, I guess, respect. Like, I would put Guardiola in a tier above the both of them.
Yeah, I mean, Guardiola, obviously, he's the king, I guess.
And I'm only talking about, like, current managers. Like, leave Sir Alex and Ancelotti, who's semi-retired, out of it. Just talk about current managers. I guess Klopp is semi-retired as well.
Yeah, I mean, well, for me, like, it depends how you're measuring it. I would say Klopp and Pep are ahead of everyone else, but I mean, you know, you could
also... So whatever the case is. So I said that they were playing some classy one-touch football, but their goal came with one ball over the top, and Brugge were just opened up.
I think generally because of how well the teams in the Champions League have been pressing this season, I've seen a lot of the long ball come back into play, a bit of like early 2000s Ancelotti ball, just the holding midfielder swings the diagonals or the fullback swing the diagonals, just try to take advantage of the space the team leaves while pressing high. I mean, I think that's the problem with like pressing high or like making... high pressing, I guess the main point in your defensive approach or the fundamental point in your defensive approach is probably that if you have technical players in the centre half or centre mid position, they're really comfortable dribbling out. It's like, I think a lot of teams live and die by their high press, and unless you have the players to score 3 or 4 goals every game, I think you're taking a huge risk doing that, you know.
So for that goal, it was Sorloth who collected it, held off the defender, shot through the legs of the defender, and Mignolet couldn't get down fast enough to prevent the goal going in. 1-0 to Atletico.
Yeah, good finish. I mean, could have been better defending and better keeping, arguably, but...
I would argue that Mignolet, his positioning was wrong.
Yeah.
Not that I'm some, goalkeeping guy that, like, knows all the things. Just from what I've seen in training... It's that you want the keeper to be as low as possible.
Yeah,
because
exactly.
you can kind of spring upwards.
The only thing I would give him was that the snapshot was so quick. It was like...
And I guess it went through the defender's legs.
Yeah, it was terrible defending. Because also, I think in Mignolet's mind, he could have been assuming that the defender would do his job, shift the play wider, and he'd have to block the back post. So I think... He lined up his body in the way the defender did a poor job, and I think the power on the shot was really good, so he couldn't get down in time.
So then Brugge, is it Brugge or Bruges?
Bruges.
Okay, the town is called Bruges, but the club, I think it's called Brugge, but I'm whatever.
It just depends.
Bruges gained possession, and Atletico were happy for them to have the ball. Bruges created chances, and their goal came from a corner. They won the first ball and then flicked it onto the back post where the player headed it in. I don't know the name of that player, but he went off for treatment. So the commentator suggested that because he was off the pitch and Atletico settled their defense, they weren't expecting him. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah, like
because he wasn't there when they set up
It was like a sucker punch.
Yeah, kind of. It's 1-1 at halftime, and Brugge are probably the happier team.
They're in the ascendancy going into the break, I guess. Or they've wrestled back the momentum, So I guess the nerves are there as well from the Atletico players. I guess you could see at halftime they were a bit shocked,
And then almost immediately as the second half begins, the Brugge defender heads out a cross, and Johnny Cardoza gathers and shoots a long-range shot which goes into the corner. 2-1 to Atletico.
Yeah, good goal. Great technique. Nothing else you can...
it didn't take a deflection, it was just very sweetly hit.
Sweetly hit, yeah. I think similar to the goal Tonali scored in the FA Cup 2 weeks ago, yeah.
It was. No, I think the Tonali goal was way better.
Yeah,
but I get what you're saying.
The technique and the positioning on the pitch. But I will say that the Club Brugge defending was also awful. They kind of laid off. He had a lot of space and time, especially, like you said, on a reactionary moment where the defenders had the larger numbers. They kind of just gave him the space to shoot as well.
So for the next 20 minutes or so, Atleti sat deep and waited for a counter, while all the attacking came from Brugge. But unfortunately, they had no goal to show for it. Eventually, Atleti's plan comes together when we get some excellent play from Lookman and Griezmann on the counter, which leads to a tap-in for Sorloth. 3-1 to Atletico. And this kind of kills off the tie. The Brugge players were tired and it looked like they gave up after
the third
goal.
The physical difference in the players could also be seen more, I think Atletico just grew into their own, I guess, kind of controlled the game.
Yes, and I was thinking, oh wow, they went so weak. Simeone showed me that actually this team was good enough to beat Brugge, right? Then Sorloth scores his hat-trick from a corner routine, and then the tie really is dead at 4-1. 4-1 to Atletico on the night and 7-4 on aggregate.
Yeah, congrats to Atletico.
Yeah, but we kind of assumed that this would happen. Brugge put up a good fight, but it's just what we expected it to be.
Yeah, congrats to Brugge for putting up a good fight, and congrats to Atletico for getting through.
Okay, next we have... Oh, excuse me. Do you have anything else you want to say about the match or the tie in general? Because I didn't watch the first leg, so if you want to...
I guess in the end it looks comfortable, but the only thing I would say is that probably over the course of both games it was probably an even game. I think from what I understand in the first leg, I just watched the highlights, but from what I understand, Club Brugge were also the better team. So, Atletico, they've had these seasons before. They've had peaks and troughs, so I'm sure they'll be in the last 8 thereabouts somehow. So yeah, I think just the expected result, nothing else to say.
Okay. Then we have Inter Milan 1, Bodo Glimt 2. Bodo through 5-2 on aggregate.
It's quite a humbling of a European giant from a minnow. It's good. When is the last time I guess we had this sort of Champions League elimination? It's been a while, I guess.
And Bodo are like a percentage of their wage bill. Of like a super team's wage bill.
Yeah.
That's yeah. So Inter set up in their usual 3-5-2. Obviously, they get defensive solidity from the back three, and it's the wing backs who provide the creativity, or the attacking impetus.
Extra numbers in attack. Yeah.
Yes. So people were talking about this match like it was a tactical masterclass from Bodo, but it was just a standard Jose Mourinho, Diego Simeone parking the bus job. Bodo were defending in a 4-4-2 deep block and staying very compact. They were happy to sit back and cede the wings to Inter, who put in a bunch of crosses that were easily dealt with. Because, instead of having everyone out on the wings to cover the wings, everyone was in the middle. So they could easily deal with the balls because they had the numerical advantage in the middle. So due to this, all the play was coming from Inter, but there was nothing decisive. Just a bunch of block shots, long-range shots that don't test the keeper, crosses with no venom, and poor set pieces.
I mean, Bodo were very well drilled. I mean, they kept their distances extremely well. I think it was a proper Champions League level tie. That's what I can give them. I think Inter would probably have been expecting that they could push their weight around a bit and, use their name. I'm sure like everyone was expecting that at some point the bigger team would make the different show, but it's kind of like, I mean, Bodo had a game plan, they executed it, and I think they also scored one of the goals of the tournament, so excellent build-up, excellent finish. It's not easy. I hope they go as deep as they can as well, but I do think that it was like Inter kind of also didn't push enough. They could have maybe changed the formation, committed more numbers to attack. I don't think there's a need to keep the back five. But I mean, from what I understand, Shivu's one of the managers who doesn't really drift from his back three. That's why I guess they got him as the Inzaghi replacement. But I think it's a lot of the similar problems that you had with Inzaghi. Like if I think back to Inzaghi last season, they were very good against big teams, but I think against the smaller teams where they're just going to sit and hold the shape, then the back three becomes a little bit easier to play against if you beat the initial press. Because then there's gaps in, especially if you have pacey wingers or people who are good at swinging diagonals. So I think, Inter I think they'll win the league in Serie A. I think they look still close enough to Inzaghi's Inter, but I think they have the same problems as Inzaghi's Inter,
Alright. All in all, it was a very boring first half. It was a test of if Inter could break down Bodo, and they failed spectacularly. It was 0-0 at half-time. Around the 60th minute, it was just a regular situation where Akanji just had to clear the ball, and Bodo just started pressing aggressively. There was suddenly 3 men around him, and he made a mistake, which led to a Bodo tap-in.
That has always been, I guess, a part of his game, right? I think it's part of probably why Pep got rid of him, because...
Apparently, it was Akanji who wanted to leave. He saw that there were so many centre-backs at City already that he wasn't getting
he wasn't going to get in.
Well, this is what I read the other day before the match. That being said, he did have like sort of a head injury. We were just watching the highlights now. You saw his head was
he was bandaged. Yeah.
So a lot of people have pointed to that and said perhaps
he should have been subbed.
He should have been subbed for possible concussion or that kind of thing.
Yeah, I mean, that aside, I think he's always really had the problem of he's not really the most press-resistant defender. I think if there was a weakness in Manchester City when they did win the treble, usually I think teams would target Akanji. I think he would be the one that you would press high, you would double up on, because I feel he was probably the weak point where you were most likely to make a mistake. And he's always had that in his game, but I still think he gives you a lot as a defender. It's like a give and take almost.
Well, there's no perfect player.
Yeah, exactly. He just has that thing of making the mistakes he does make generally are very atrocious, like they lead directly to a goal.
He's always at the scene of the crime, as it were.
Yeah, exactly. But Neuer was the same, so he hardly made a mistake. When he made it was a tragic one, So
just a couple of minutes later after that goal, Bodo scored on the counter again. Just a well-worked counter, and the finish was exquisite. You were saying one of the best goals of the
Champions League so far.
The Champions League so far. And that was the game for me. It's 2-0 up. Inter Milan scored like a consolation later on. I'm not going to lie to you, I fell asleep because this game was very boring.
Just a lucky, a chaotic goal.
So at 2-0 I fell asleep, so I missed the Inter goal. But the last talking point I want to bring up about this game before we close it off, I don't know what else you want to say, but this is my last thing. So Bodo is in their off season. They haven't played a game since November. They have been keeping fit by playing friendlies and training in Marbella. So to me, you can spin it any way you want. Either they're fresh because they haven't been playing much, or they're out of form because they haven't been playing much. Right, so you can make an argument for or against, but do you think it's a positive or negative that they haven't been in league competition?
I would say, given what has this happened before, or is they've been in the Champions League quite a few times? So is their league always down during this time of the year because of the winter? Or
yes, their league is from March to November.
Oh, okay. Because, like, I don't know. They've gone further than they've ever gone. So, I think more that maybe the coaching is improving in Bodo. Maybe the football culture is improving. I think, irrespective of whether it comes in during the season or the off season, I think you just have to do your job, beat what's in front of you. It's like hard to say whether it benefits you or doesn't, depending on the players you have. Like, obviously we could watch our teams in the Premier League every week and say, damn, you know the players need a rest, you know. But the question is, we've also seen like where teams have large breaks, or players get injured, go to the World Cup, go to AFCON, come back, and they're completely different players, you know. So it's hard to gauge, you know. It's I would say this season it's benefited them because they've gone further than they've ever gone, you know. So overall, I would think, from a coaching perspective, from a football perspective, I would say it's a negative, because I would think the momentum of playing at the top level every week, it's like, for example, if they have to play, let's say, a team who's in full flow, like Barcelona, Arsenal, Manchester City, Bayern Munich, I feel like then the difference will tell a lot more, you know.
All right, so anything else to say about Inter 1, Bodo Glimt 2?
No, not really. I mean, sad for Inter. I like Inter Milan.
This is actually probably the most high-profile elimination of the round.
It's the only upset, really, right? Or do we have another upset?
Well, we'll go through them. We can, like, maybe Galatasaray, Juventus, but that's a little bit more equal rather than Bodo Glimt, who's
it's an upset overall, but after the first leg, it's like kind of expected. But yeah.
All right, so Atalanta 4, Dortmund 1. Atalanta threw 4-3 on aggregate. So, meaning Dortmund won 2-0 in the first.
Yeah, I mean, everyone thought this one was buried from when...
I saw a post about the downfall of Italian football, because Juventus were on the verge of getting knocked out, Inter on the verge of getting knocked out, Atalanta on the verge of getting knocked out. It was looking bad. We'll talk about Juventus just now. Inter were the only ones who kind of made a fool of themselves, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Atalanta, they kept their heads down. They just worked really hard in this game.
Yeah, I mean, they were under the cosh for a bit. I think Dortmund were the better team in the first half.
Well, first of all, it was a bizarre match, and both teams played with a back three.
Which is, I mean, I guess it minimizes the margins because there's less room for error on both sides, but it makes the game less entertaining, usually.
They kind of went man for man.
All over the park.
All over the park, yeah. So, for the first 25 minutes, it was all Atalanta. They scored very early on. I joined the watch late. They scored within the first 5 minutes, so I missed that goal. I can't speak to it, and there was no highlights package, so I couldn't write it. But apparently Scamacca scored, former West Ham player who did not light up the Premier League when he was at West Ham. But
the Italian fans love him, though.
Yeah, I'm glad that he's found a place that where he fits in, and he's doing well. I thought Dortmund were very lucky to be one down. And I saw another tweet that said...
So actually, I started watching the game from like the 25th minute or so. And when I started watching it, it seemed like Dortmund were in the ascendancy, which is why I made the comment earlier that it seemed like they dominated the first half, but I didn't watch before that.
So I saw this tweet that said Atalanta scored at all the quote-unquote nice times to score. So very early on within the first 5 minutes, that's a nice time to score.
Straight after halftime.
Just before halftime, going into the break, they scored by a long shot which took a wicked deflection on the stroke of halftime from Zappacosta. He scored a really, like I said, it was a wicked deflection.
Did he won the Champions League with Chelsea, right?
I think maybe the Europa League. Maybe not the Champions League, but he could have been there.
I was going to say, is he on track to win a second Champions League?
No. I believe Reece James was the right wing back for that team. So maybe Zappacosta was on the bench or something, but I don't remember him being, a big part of that Chelsea team. Yeah. I was also, again, Scamacca had some excellent hold-up play. Especially, like you said, Dortmund took over in the second portion of the first half. So it had to be Scamacca who, took the pressure off. Yes.
I mean, if there was anything that I guess when he was at West Ham that when everyone was calling him a flop or a waste of money or whatever. I think during that time, the one thing that always stood out was his hold-up play, his link-up play. It seemed like he could link the second and third phases of play really well. So I'm glad he's kept that. Hopefully he lives up to the potential. I mean, when he went to West Ham, he was like a very highly spoken of player in the Serie A. You know, it was, I think, everyone was surprised West Ham managed to pull off his signature. So hopefully he does hit his potential. The games I've seen him, I really like his link-up and hold-up play. But I mean, I've seen players like that as well, with Olivier Giroud, for example, who the longer it goes on, the more frustrating it gets. So maybe Atalanta's a good team for him, as opposed to stepping up into a team where he's always in the spotlight, you know.
Another player I was really impressed by is Maxi Bayer. He's a right wing for Dortmund. Actually, was he on the right wing? He's just a wing for Dortmund. I don't know what side, because they had a very fluid front three that was, you know, swapping around and this and that. So whatever side he's on, he's a winger, and I really liked him.
I think he started on the left, because I remember Adeyemi on the right for...
No, Adeyemi came on in the second half, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Okay, but whatever the case is, if you notice, I'm highlighting wingers. Like Forbes in the Brugge game, Maxi Bayer in this game. I've just been on the lookout for wingers.
I mean, wingers have kind of like become the modern, like, I guess like people say the old number 10 has faded out the game. So like wingers have kind of become halfway between like strikers and number 10s now, because I guess they get
a lot of both.
Yeah, a lot of wingers have to take on a large portion of the creativity and the finishing.
The second half, so it's 2-0 to Atalanta at halftime. Again, another nice time to score just after halftime, when you get back on the pitch. And De Roon puts in an excellent cross with Pasalic headering home. To me, the big story here is what a fabulous cross it was.
Yeah.
The glancing header, it was good, you know. I don't want to take that away from him.
But the cross kind of didn't leave you much to do, you know.
Yes, I love when the cross... All you need to do is just tap it in.
Just put your head on it. I mean, it even makes the header look better. Like
yes, that's why KDB is one of my favorite players. Maybe my number 2 favorite player, because, you know, he was so good at that. He'd put it right on your toe, and you just had to move your leg forward.
Yeah.
So yeah, the beginning of the second half, like I said, Atalanta took control again, and Niko Kovac made some subs. He brought on Karim Adeyemi. He brought on Carney Chukwuemeka. He just made a bunch of subs. I didn't note them down at the time. I just noted these two because it was those two who combined to score the goal. It was a really excellent curling goal from Adeyemi, yes. But yes, in general, the subs made a difference for Dortmund. Yeah. And I thought, okay, it's 2-1. What is it? 3-3 on aggregate. No, not 3-3 on aggregate. 2-3 on it. Sorry. Pasalic just scored, so it was 3-1.
3-1, yes. Sorry.
So it's 3-3 on aggregate. So I was like, all right, this is really
heating up,
and it became kind of like a basketball game. It was up and down. Atalanta had a shot, Dortmund had a shot. Atalanta had a shot.
It was like the polar opposite of the Inter Milan game.
It was. This is the type of game I like to watch.
In the Champions League tie, right?
Yeah. It's very like two teams that want to attack, that want to, get to it. But clearly in this game, one team was much better at scoring than the other, because not the last kick of the game. So roughly like the 90th minute. The goalkeeper gives the ball away to an Atalanta attacker, and he goes forward and puts a ball in. So I don't really know how to say that chap's name. Ben Sabani.
However, say it however you want.
He kicked the dog shit out of the Atalanta defender. I'm not a defender, the Atalanta attacker. There was blood pouring out of his face. And the referee, I don't know why the referee needed VAR, but the referee needed VAR to award the penalty, even though he literally just kicked him in the face. It was like, I understand he was going for the ball, but he missed.
I mean, again, last week we blamed the Premier League, but I think the Premier League is still the worst as far as the refereeing is concerned.
Yeah, because the thing is, the right decision was eventually reached.
Yeah.
Whereas in the Premier League, they probably wouldn't have
reached the right decision either way. But
yeah,
I guess it's more the I want to get the right decisions all the time as a football fan. Like, it's in the fairness of the sport. But I really don't like when it's like the game dies for 5 minutes, then you add on 7 minutes at the end of the game, and
they usually don't even do that. They'll add on 2 minutes for a 5-minute stoppage. Yeah. So that's time wasters. Get the best out of it, because you can waste time for like 10 minutes and only get 2 minutes of extra time added.
Again, my thing is just follow the lead of rugby, I guess. Just listen to what the VAR says. That's the final decision. Don't question it. Like, why? Well,
I felt the same way, right? I just thought you don't need to go over to a TV.
Yeah.
Just tell them the VAR reviews it and tells them a decision, and then they just go with it. Now, the argument against it that I've heard is that, quote unquote, the referee feels as if though they're not really reffing the game, that it's being taken out of their hands. To which I reply, is it about the referee's feelings, or is it about getting the right decisions?
Yeah, the referee is essentially... The referee shouldn't be like thinking about putting themselves on a pedestal within the context of a game. They're like the officiator. They're not the players. They're not the coaches. They shouldn't.
Nobody is watching to see Mike Dean, the referee.
Yeah, no one is checking Anthony Taylor. Who cares what Anthony Taylor is doing or about his technique?
All right. Yes. So this causes a big kerfuffle, the awarding of the penalty. There was a red shown to the Atalanta bench. I'm not sure who got that red card. Nico Schlotterbeck also got a red card on the bench. He didn't play the game, I read, because he's just coming back from injury. I actually really wanted to see Schlotterbeck play, because I'm very... apparently he's being looked at as one of the Van Dijk replacements. So... I mean, generally, obviously, I've read a lot about him. I haven't watched him as much as I'd like to, but... Well, that's the same with me. I just heard a lot about him. I've never seen him play, so that's why I went out of my way, because this was the earlier Champions League game. This match was at 7:45.
I thought he was really good in the final or the semi-final
of the Champions League
2 years ago. Yeah, he was really good. That was like... where I thought that, this guy's like, I think at the time he must have been 21 or something. I was like, this guy has the fundamentals to be a top defender, especially on the stage against Real Madrid. They didn't manage to win, but...
Yeah. My only concern about him is that he's injury prone. Every time I hear about him, he's injured. That's why I'm...
I mean, the thing I would shy away from as fans generally, I think, is like when you have a player as good as Van Dijk, like, let's be honest, that's... you can't necessarily place that expectation on anyone. You can still be one of the greatest centre-backs of all time and still not be close to Van Dijk. So, in terms of a complete defender, I think people shouldn't really expect that maybe you're going to find another Van Dijk. Maybe you will, maybe you won't, but we've only seen a defender that complete technically and in terms of their defending tactically once. Maybe some people would argue for John Terry or Vidic. I wouldn't from a technical perspective, but there's not many Van Dijks around, so I don't think it would be fair on Schlotterbeck either to compare him to Van Dijk.
I'm not saying he would come in and take over the armband and we forget about Van Dijk. I'm just saying he's been looked at. Is he a
good enough replacement? Because I mean, obviously people would say that Gabriel and Saliba are the best defensive partnership in the world right now. Most people would agree about that. I think, however, that neither of them are close to Van Dijk in his prime to me. So that's how good he was. It's like I'm just saying that the Van Dijk replacement maybe shouldn't be an expectation as much as you'd have to reshape your defending, because there's probably not going to be another Van Dijk.
Sure. Okay, so Schlotterbeck gets a red, and a second yellow is shown to Ben Sabani, and a penalty to Atalanta. Lazar Samancic scores the penalty, and pandemonium in Bergamo as they go through 4-3 on aggregate.
I mean, Atalanta, everyone has to love this story. It continues without Gasperini. I don't think they're as good. The league form shows that, but they're still probably one of the most unpredictable teams in Europe who can beat anyone on their day. So It might be who Arsenal play in the next round. I'd be a little bit scared of them.
Thought you mentioned it's Fashion Week in Milan. They said that maybe 6 times during the Inter game.
Okay.
I just wanted to... I know it's Fashion Week in Milan. Just wanted to tell the listeners that I know.
Thank you for... I mean, what do you want to wear?
Yeah, I'm not really that big into fashion, you know. Like, I just think of clothes as like a functional thing. Like, it's something to...
I like to dress nicely, but I don't like to like specifically care about the brand names or whatever. I'm not gonna spend my salary on a shirt, so...
That's true. Okay, anything else to say about Atalanta 4, Dortmund 1? Aside from it's a massive disgrace.
Yeah, a massive disgrace
for Dortmund.
Oh, for Dortmund, yeah. I mean, yeah, it is surprising because Dortmund have been doing really well in the league, which is why I thought they'd kind of see it through. But again, it's like Atalanta can be very good on their day. I've seen that a couple seasons ago when they reached the Champions League semi-finals as well. They were...
Did they reach the semis?
Yeah, I do remember them, I think, reaching the semis under Gasperini.
I think you think of the Europa... They won the Europa League. Any other things you want to say about this game before we close up?
Yeah, I mean, just I like Atalanta. I mean, I like the project, the story behind Atalanta. So I wish them the best success. They're probably going to play us next, so I don't wish them much more success in the Champions League. But I like them as a club, you know. I think the work Gasperini's done there, I think in the long run will be influential to a lot of clubs. I think a lot of clubs, smaller clubs, will learn to rebuild themselves around Atalanta's model, you know.
Moving on to Real Madrid 2, Benfica 1. Madrid threw 3-1 on aggregate. So yeah, another very... This is my least... how can I say this? Thought through game.
Yeah.
Partly because midway through I went to KFC to get food. Probably like on the 30th minute, and then I came back and it was like the 50th minute. So I missed.
Yeah, I mean,
quite a bit.
It was my mom's birthday, so also was like I had it on in the background, but I didn't like necessarily pay too much attention to it.
Yeah, so I do apologize if this is not a complete
a full breakdown.
Yeah, a deep dive or
an in-depth analysis.
Yes.
I guess, yeah.
So for the first goal, Raul Asensio fails to clear and Benfica score. This was I'm not a fan of Raul Asensio. I really think he is a very poor defender.
Yeah,
He just got in the team at the right time where a bunch of injuries happened. Well, Alaba is injury prone, so
I mean, it's like almost like if he's like Nacho, but he's not playing in a world-class team.
Yes. Well, I rate Nacho way more than Asensio, but I get your point. Tchouameni instantly equalized from a Valverde cutback, totally against the run of play, because the first 15-20 minutes was all Benfica.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if Madrid was sitting deep, but it didn't look much like a Jose Mourinho team, at least what we've come to know them as. They were like pressing high, playing through Madrid's press, playing out from the back.
So yeah, like I said, I watched those first 2 goals, then I went to KFC and I came back. And in the second half, Benfica had all the play. Like the first 10-15
Whenever I was looking up, Benfica had all the play, so yes. I didn't really see much of Madrid dominating the game on my end.
And it was kind of anti-cowardly football from
Arbeloa.
Not anti-cowardly, anti-football and cowardly football. That's why.
I mean, he kind of relied on the individuals to break him up. I think he looks a bit lost from what I've seen. I've watched a lot of Madrid since he's been there. I think from what I've seen, he seems to be trying to just reinforce the tactics of Alonso. I don't think he knows how to coach them particularly, but I think he's trying to reinforce those tactical ideas because he's been with the team this season, and he's trying to give the players more, I guess, freedom to figure the rest out by themselves, whereas Alonso would have been more pragmatic or dogmatic about it, I guess. But I think a lot of the dynamics, the distances, I think it seems like, at least in my eyes, like he's just going with what they've been coached throughout the season and just trying to motivate the players a bit extra, rely on the man management side of it.
But I think it's more he's copying Ancelotti in that he's just putting players in their best position and saying, do what you do best.
Yeah, I think he's kind of trying that, but a lot of the times the way they press, I think they kept the diamond 4-4-2 in the press, which is very characteristic of Alonso and not characteristic of Madrid. So
fair enough. Madrid was sitting deep in the second half, just trying to play for a counter, and this works because against the run of play, Vinicius scores. Benfica were pushed up way too high and he was just left all alone. Another really good ball from Valverde finds him in acres and acres of space. He runs through, scores, and yeah.
That's it. I mean, a good finish. He's probably one of the best pressure players in the world.
So as we hear talking shit about Arbeloa saying he can't coach, well, he just beat Mourinho over 2 legs, so who are we to speak?
Well, I mean, I'm not saying he can't coach. I'm just saying I think he looks a bit lost in terms of the experience. Maybe he does. But when that's happened to Madrid, they've won the Champions League in the past. So
I will say I was kind of shocked that Benfica only made subs in the 85th minute. I just assumed that he had made subs early in the game and I missed it. But it's the 85th minute and the commentator's like, oh, Benfica making their first subs. I also
picked that up, so I don't know. I mean,
Mourinho wasn't on the touchline because he got a red card last week, so he couldn't. But still, he should have like a walkie-talkie or something. Something, yeah. So I'm really not sure. He either he totally mismanaged this or I don't know what to say because I felt Benfica not mismanaged because Benfica had chances. It's just they didn't take those chances. So they weren't clinical enough. They weren't...
I mean, he did enough from a coaching perspective to win the tie. So it's hard to critique him in that regard.
Well, you can't, yeah. So, I would say Tchouaméni, my man of the match. He was just... Every time I looked up, he was there doing something.
Breaking up the play.
Looking playing
a bit
forward.
Like, I guess, the player they thought they signed when they first got him. When he was there for the first 6 months. He's getting back.
Yeah, I thought Tchouaméni just all over the place. Another player that didn't impress me that I think looks awful, Trent Alexander-Arnold. Just now you're going to say, oh, it's bias, it's this, it's that, but truly a defensive disaster class. Every time the left wing Benfica got the ball, he just ran at him and took him on. Trent stopped him twice out of maybe 12 times.
I thought he was decent though, like some of his passing. Like I think...
Sure, I'm not talking about his passing, I'm talking about defensive work only.
As I said before, that's what you get with him. I'll take the 3 or 4 passes that put the attacker right in front of goal for the defensive. Like in our defense with Saliba and Gabriel behind him, I think he'd be the perfect right back for us. So
I just don't think right back is the right place. He should be playing I don't know, as a deep line playmaker maybe. So,
but I think he attacks more of the pitch from right back because I was like he has the whole pitch to attack, like with his diagonals especially at right back. And I was also someone who thought he'd be better off as a deep lying playmaker or in midfield. But I think when Klopp did try him there, I think he the things that make him, I guess, that are questionable about his game defensively are more exposed in midfield, in my opinion. So
he just doesn't have defensive instincts.
Yeah, but I would say, like for me, it's a calculated risk to keep him in your team because in a top team, I think he's going to do a lot of special things just through his passing.
Okay, so Madrid threw 3-1 on aggregate. Any other points you want to make? Any other things you want to say before we close up on this topic?
No, nothing. I mean, Madrid go on to survive another day, so I guess let's hope someone takes them out.
Alright, now we're moving on to miscellaneous. The other 4 games that I didn't watch, we didn't watch. These are just going to be some quick hits. No, like maybe a 1-sentence topic. You can speak how long you want, but I'm just saying I don't think there's a lot to talk about with these.
Yeah.
So the first one is Newcastle 3, Qarabag 2. Newcastle threw 9-3 on aggregate.
Close.
Yeah. I was sitting there sweating. I was just not sure which
way it was going to go.
Toss of a coin,
I mean, it's like you want the smaller leagues to grow, but at this point, like Qarabag are in the Champions League almost every season, and it just seems like... I mean, they made the knockouts. It's hard to criticize them, but I don't think that... like, it would make sense if there were more teams from the lower leagues. If you're just going to throw in one team from Where they're from, Kazakhstan?
Wherever they're from. I don't know.
If you're going to throw in one team, it doesn't exactly make sense. You're not developing the league or that region of football. Maybe if you gave them 3 or 4 teams, then I'd understand. But I think a better team could occupy that space in the Champions League, you know.
Leverkusen 0, Olympiacos 0. Leverkusen threw 2-0 on aggregate.
I mean, I haven't watched much of Leverkusen this season, honestly, so I can't give much comment on where they are in relation to where they want to be, how their project is progressing. So, I mean, we all know a couple of years ago they were the club everyone was raving about outside of their own. So, I don't know. Congratulations to them, I guess, for still being able to compete in the Champions League, because I'm sure a lot of people would have expected them to fall away by now, especially with half their squad gone, coach gone. I think most people think they didn't reinvest the money as well, so let's see. I wish them luck, though.
PSG 2, Monaco 2. PSG threw 5-4 on aggregate.
They snuck through in the end.
The other two are much more obvious. It's obvious that Leverkusen would go through. It's obvious Newcastle would go through. PSG, I thought it would be obvious that
it would be a walkover.
It would be a walkover.
But they generally struggle against Monaco, from what I understand. So it could be like a bogey team.
That's true. And it's a bit shocking that they got a French team.
Yeah.
I understand that the new format doesn't care about that, but it's rare to see this. But in the end, the popular team went through, or the predicted team went through.
Yeah, I mean, from what I understood, from what I read, it was an even game. It's kind of on a nice edge. So shout out to Monaco for at least staying in the game, giving PSG a tough time. I think you still have to respect them and consider them the best team in the world. So yeah, they're through. Let's see how far they go this season.
All right. So like I said, those 3 games were kind of obvious as to who would go through. This game, Juventus versus Galatasaray, was a lot more even, and based on the first leg, Galatasaray won 5-2. You would assume
it was dead.
The game was dead, right? And Juventus go 1-0 up in this game, and things are fine, things are chugging along, and then they get a red card. So I didn't watch this game, just from what I've heard. It was a second yellow for Lloyd Kelly. But apparently that tackle deserved a red on its own.
Yes, I did see the tackle, yeah.
Okay, I didn't see it, so I have no frame of reference.
I mean, I think it did deserve a red, honestly. I don't think people would be wrong in saying that.
So now, despite being one man down, Juventus scored 2 more goals, and they go 3-0 up.
Yeah, I mean, it was... I mean, they did, they scored the goals, but... Galatasaray also missed a lot of sitters. Yeah, I think they could have put the game to bed.
So you think it was kind of an even game, back and forth, and it's just so happens.
I mean, I think Galatasaray did enough with when the game went down to 10 men to say that if they had gone out, they would have been kicking themselves, because it would be hard to say Juventus were the better team. I think a lot of it was again. Spalletti's in-game management was very good. He read the moments very well. He was able to shift the momentum for them. So I think that's what saved them. But the scoreline, if they had got through, it would have kind of flattered them in relation to how many chances Galatasaray missed.
Yeah, so it's 3-0. It goes into extra time. And the Madrid game ends, so I switch over to this game to see the great escape of Juventus. They've...
I mean, I was hoping for it too.
Yeah, I was thinking there, I'm like, if Spalletti pulls this off, Darren is going to go buck wild on the ball.
I was hoping with everything in me that he pulled it off, but
then Galatasaray scored 2 goals, and Juventus get another red card. Now, I'm going to be honest with you, I fell asleep again, because this is like 12. I'm not a teenager anymore who's stays up the whole night. This is I have work in the morning, bro. So I fell asleep. I saw Galatasaray's first goal, and I was like, oh, you kind of gave it away, and then I fell asleep.
Yeah, I mean, once Osimhen scored, you could already see that the energy was out of Juventus. I think they were kind of playing for the shootout at that point, trying to hold their shape, and then defensive error, Osimhen, easy enough finish, I think.
Very much like the Bodo game. I'm led to believe that it's not that Juventus were bad. It's they made one mistake and then.
Yeah, I mean, they were terrible in the first leg, and I think that they just left themselves too much to do. And then the red card didn't help. I feel like if they had 11, they would have definitely been able to control the whole game and get through. But can't make excuses. You're the bigger club. You have the bigger wage bill, the better players, the better league. So Galatasaray did what they had to, you know.
Any other points you want to make about any of the games or any other things you want to say?
Oh, no, not really. I mean, interesting. I think most of the better clubs, I think the Dortmund-Atalanta game is it's arguable as to who's the better team.
Yeah, they're both roughly the same in my...
The same level. But I think there haven't been many upsets, apart from if you consider Juventus, Galatasaray an upset. But Juventus are not really the Juventus of old right now, so it's not like they're a super club or a team that's at an elite level.
Yeah. The only shock is Bodo.
Yeah. The reason I'm bringing it up is because I'd say that from a Champions League perspective, if you're a neutral footballing fan, it's good because you've practically got all the elite teams in the next stage, with maybe the exception of Inter Milan. But every other elite team in world football is we're gonna have a lot of good ties till the end of the season, you know.
De Zerbi's not there, so
unfortunately,
throw it in the bin. Who cares? It's a fraudulent trophy anyway.
And Igor Tudor made it further than Juventus.
Alright, well, thank you for listening. Please remember to rate, review, subscribe, give a like, etc.
Leave a comment.
Importantly, it needs to be a 5-star review. Like, if you give us a 3-star review, I'm gonna come and put a hole in your tire so you run out of air.
I'm gonna kiss you through the phone.
Okay. I don't know why you said that. Such a bizarre thing to say.
Nobody wants to be kissed through the phone, so...
Yeah, you can find all our links at pdfootball.com. That's the letter P, the letter D, football.com. Please tell a friend. Tell that friend to tell a friend. Tell a family member. And yeah, goodbye.
Thank you.